Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So guys, we start this video off with a little bit of a history lesson. So we're taking this history from Kwara State. Now Kwara State, as you know, is in the northern parts of Nigeria, but then of course it has not always been a northern state. So back in the day, the emir that you have in Kano now actually used to be known as the Olu of Ilorin, the Olu of Ilorin, and Olu, of course, you know, is a Yoruba name. But then, of course, we had this incident where there was incursions. The Fulanis and the religion, they have this thing called Takia, which is little lies that they used to infiltrate people, which is what Buhari used on the Nigerian state. So they have this thing called Takia. So now going back, so back in those days, the Fulanis were making slow incursions into the Yoruba enclave of Kwara State, which was Ilorin then. So they will be using all these takias to tell little lies and pretend that good intentions until they were then able to identify a Yoruba man who was willing to compromise his own race, and then they used this Yoruba man to seize control of Kwara State, or Ilorin then, which is now Kwara State. And ever since then, the Olu of Ilorin has now become the Emir of Ilorin, and that has been the history of that particular region ever since. We also saw that again under the Abiola saga, when the Abiola won the election and the Yoruba race were up in arms because Babangida then was denying him access to the presidency, and the Yorubas were saying this was the beginning of the end. Abacha, of course, replaced Babangida rather, and then he then invited all these so-called Yoruba leaders to Aso Rock, and then we have eyewitness account from a Colonel Hamza, who was I think it was either the ADC or a key functionary, and it's a Muslim Hausa man, by the way. He was giving account of this because he was shocked by what he saw. So all these Yoruba men, all these Yoruba leaders were all charged up and charging up the Yoruba race that we will fight to the bitter end for this Abiola mandate. And then when they got to Aso Rock, and then Abacha was then handing them briefcase full of dollars, this Colonel Hamza then reported that these people that he saw entering the villa threatening fire and brimstone then came out of the villas with their briefcases full of dollars, all smiling, and by the next day they had all discounted this Abiola mandates and the mandate of that was won by this Yoruba man. So that is the Afonja behavior. So our later day of Afonja now, the current Afonja of the Yoruba race now, and there are many Afonjas, by the way, in the Yoruba race, because a lot of the Yoruba leaders have these Afonja tendencies, but the latest and the marquee, the leading Afonja in the Yoruba race is of course no other than Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So guys, I bring you this. Funke Olakunrin, stop indicting Fulani headsmen. We know how kidnapping started. This is the headline according to Tinubu. This quote, this comment is attributed to Tinubu. So again, the headline again, stop indicting Fulani headsmen. We know how kidnapping started. And this statement is attributed to Tinubu. So now let's get into the body of what he said. The national leader of the All Progressive Congress APC has called for caution over the tagging of Fulani headsmen as those behind the killing of the daughter of Pa Ruben Fashion-Roti, Mrs. Funke Olakunrin. It has been reported that Tinubu, who paid a condolence visit, I'm surprised that the man allowed him to visit him, but it was reported that Tinubu, who paid a condolence visit to the Afenifere national leader in Akure, the Ondo state capital, on Sunday over the murder of Mrs. Olakunrin by those suspected to be headsmen, stated that Fulanis should not be held responsible for the incident. The former Lagos State governor, who emphasized that the origin of kidnapping can be traced in the country, maintained that the death of the 58-year-old should not be used to divide the country. I am extremely concerned about security. I don't want a stigma. He added that with the spate of insecurity in the country, it was time to face it squarely and put an end to it once and for all. I am a nationalist, and the security concern and challenges right now must be faced squarely throughout Nigeria. We must not use this incident to divide ourselves, but we must use it as a cure to the security problem. Additional police, additional patrols, and additional security reinforcement along Ore Road and various flashpoints across the country is necessary. I have discussed this amongst the various authorities. The governor, Akeredolu, is eminently aware and being proactive about this. The security challenges are numerous across this country, and to fight it, we are going through that. More police are being recruited, and it will take time to train and deploy them to various areas. Nobody prepares more than necessary for this. But if you look at Zamfara, Osun, Ondo, Ekiti, and all areas, then we need to fight poverty, unemployment, and the causes that might lead people to crime. Equally, we must create opportunities to convert this tragedy into prosperity. Whilst describing the death of Mrs. Olakunrin as a sad one, he disclosed that he and the deceased chatted a few days to her death. The incident that affected one member of our family, Mrs. Olakunrin, is seriously sad and unacceptable, but nobody can return her alive. She has answered the call of her creator. Funke is very close to me, and she died a premature death. Only 4 or 5 days ago, we chatted, and I know what she discussed with me and about Baba's health conditions. We just pray that this will not happen again, Tinubu said. Recall that the deceased was reported to have been shot dead by suspected Fulani herdsmen in her Land Cruiser SUV within the Ore axis of the Benin-Shagamu Expressway. So now this is now Tinubu, the Afonja of our times, giving the Malams a pass. You will recall, of course, that it was Tinubu that single-handedly installed and inflicted this Malam Buhari thing on the Nigerian nation. You will recall that because the differential in that 2015 election was Tinubu. Malam Buhari has been trying for many years and several times to become the president of Nigeria, and he has failed until he went into alliance with Tinubu, and Tinubu then used his wealth and influence and his understandings of dirty politics to inflict and install this Malam guy on our nation. So now, of course, it is his interest then to then have this guy continue, because the agreement then was that you go serve 2 terms and then you hand over to me. So Tinubu's eyes is all entirely on 2023, and he doesn't really care what sort of ravaging and savaging is going on within the Yoruba space, within the Yoruba nation, so long as he gets his wants in 2023. But then, of course, he's miscalculating, because these people are also calculating for 2023, because they are putting structures in place for the Fulanization of the country, and they are not then going to then hand over that to a Yoruba man after 4 years. So these 4 years now is going to be the ramping up of their agenda, so that by 2023 it will not even be a possibility that a non-northerner or a non-Fulani would even have any sense of ever becoming the president of Nigeria, because in the build-up by 2022 thereabout, you will start to hear the narrative, and El-Rufai would lead this, and he's already come to Lagos to give Tinubu a bloody nose once. So El-Rufai would lead this, and the narrative from 2022 going forward will be that this power transition thing is not a constitutional matter, is not a legal requirement, and there is nothing to say that is enforceable. And then they would then pick their own man to replace Malam Buhari. That is if they don't do an Obasanjo type third term thing for Malam Buhari anyway, but I don't think his health can hold on for another term again. So now this is really the play, but this Tinubu now is still kidding himself that is in play for 2023, because of course it's the Afonja of our times, and we always know, because history tells us that the Malams, the Fulanis, they have always been able to outwit both the Yorubas and the Afonjas, because they are very singular in their own want, and we are more multidimensional in our own thinking. So you think you have a gentleman's agreement with these people, but these people are no gentlemen. Go and speak to Zeke and ask him what Ahmedu Bello did to him and what not, and go and speak to Awolowo and ask him what Gowon did to him. Go and speak to Abiola and ask him what Babangida did to him. So the history is there to tell us that these people, they are not gentlemen, they are very singular in their mind, and they will go through any level of brutality or anything that is required to continue to have their want. And this is what will play out in 2023. But of course, Afonja Tinubu is of the mind that is in a game of chess with these people, because a lot of the people have been telling him that he's clever and he's a genius and whatnot, because he used Mago to get to force Jonathan out and rig this guy in, and rig him in again the second time, and he thinks therefore that is this super brain that everybody is telling him that he is. Well, history will, the future rather, will soon tell us if he is or not, but history has already given us an indication of how these things will play out. So now we now have this person going to the heartland of Yoruba land, which is Ondo State, a Yoruba man, Tinubu, the Afonja of our times, going to Fashion Rotti's house after his daughter has been ruthlessly disposed by a Fulani headsmen, and the eyewitnesses at the incident have accounted that these were Fulani headsmen. But of course, Tinubu Afonja is going to Ondo State to tell the Nigerian nation that this is not Fulani headsmen. And of course, the person that lost her life is a Yoruba woman. The person defending the Fulanis is a Yoruba man, so they will hide behind him. We've already had Adeshina, the other Afonja, saying it was armed robbers, you know, and now you have Tinubu saying Evans the kidnapper. So you already see where they're going with the narrative. And the Malams, of course, they are they are already experienced. The people who think that these people are idiots, because we are always saying that these Fulanis are dunces. Anybody that thinks that the Fulanis are dunces, that person is the biggest idiot going, because those people have been ruling that country since independence. So if they're a dunce and they are ruling you, then you're a bigger idiot. So now we have to get our brains aligned. So Afonja is in play again now, and they want to use him to shut this thing down. They will of course, he would have gone with a suitcase full of dollars to insulate the man. The money can't buy the life of his daughter. But then of course, when he packs his account full, pack the account of his children full, and everybody is all dollared up, and then you know, they will cry, and then obviously they like the saying goes, you can't bring back the life, and life is for the living, and they will move on, and they will shut this thing down. They will go and round up some people and say, oh, we caught these people, they were the armed robbers, and some random people will be blamed for this thing, and that will be the end of it, because that that is the job of Afonja, and there's nobody more expert in dirty politics than Tinubu. So now this is what is playing out now, and Afonja is in play again. But will the Yoruba race fall for this streak yet again? That is really the million-dollar question. Conversations in the comment section is what I am inviting. But before you come join me in the comment section to have this conversation, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray, bell button, that way you are notified every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you are making of all this in the comment section. So I'll leave you here, carry on with you in the comment section, but here I say peace.